Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Renata Escobedo, pronouns she, her, hers. I am the program manager of the San Diego Youth Services Youth Emergency Shelter, formerly known as Storefront Shelter. We provide services for minors ages 12 to 17 who are experiencing homelessness, running away, and prevention services. We provide emergency shelter in our night shelter component, and we also have a drop in center component. We also have a 24-hour crisis line for referrals or any youth who just wants to reach out in need, as well as a case manager that helps our youth transition to more stable housing, connect them with any referrals such as mental health and stuff like that, and help meet their basic needs.
Pretty awesome. Hey, everybody. I'm Anthony Parham. I'm the program manager with the Research Family Agency, formerly known as Foster Care. We work with youths and families. We work with youths who are 0 to 18 years old and then families as well. So we help these youths transition from being inside of a group home or coming from their biological families, or if they're in CWS, Child Welfare Services, we help them get into a resource family home. We also certify the resource families as well. We provide them with 40 hours of intensive services foster care training, teaching them the different things like basic needs, working on attachment, cultural awareness, things like this, to be able to help them to be more competent when they're working with these youths and individuals who are inside of the foster care system. So we also have our case management. We have our clinical services as well. So there's individual and family therapy that is also involved in that. And then we have a 24-hour access line as well in case any of our youths need to give us a call and need some support, or if our families need some additional support for interventions. Our team is located here in San Diego County, and we are the oldest foster care in San Diego.
Thank you, Anthony. You might be wondering why we are talking to you about our youth emergency shelter and foster care and how this connects to CSEC. But there are many ways in which youth who are involved in CSEC, which stands for the Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children, how they're involved with our programs. Anthony, do you want to share for foster care?
Absolutely. So, for instance, if we're thinking about it, according to Dr. Jerry Malone, who's written extensively on the topic of child welfare services and children who are in the foster care system, he talks about our youth who are in need of parenting and care, and that they're easily manipulated, and many times they're in need of love. And this is because attachment injuries have happened. They've been removed from their families without any say so. They never had a choice in that option. So there's attachment and trauma that happens when kids are removed abruptly from their homes, their origin. And so they too, they know that children are likely to have trauma history, and that can prime them for all types of messages from traffickers who are out there who want to instill this in their victims. That comes with them talking about things like their bodies are not their own, or trying to tell them that anybody that they may tell about this victimization, that they won't be heard or they won't be believed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a common instance with our runaway youth as well. They might not have been taken from their homes, but they're running away from an unsafe place. And so a lot of times they don't know what safe relationships look like, and then are very vulnerable to being targeted by our traffickers and their grooming process. So, another way in which a youth may be recruited into CSEC is in order to meet their basic needs. So, a statistic from the OL Pathy Foundation shares that 75% of all sex trafficking victims were at one point homeless, and 1 in 3 homeless teens are recruited into CSEC by a trafficker within 48 hours of leaving home. And so that is a big way in which they are also vulnerable because they are doing whatever they can to get their basic needs met and survive. Foster care children, the way this intersects with foster care is that foster care children commonly run away. Youth emergency shelters serve any youth who has run away from unsafe situations or from the foster care system. Um, so, running away is not the only path to homelessness for foster children. 22% of youth aging out of the foster care system end up homeless, as there are few services to provide for the aged out population. And so, that is the way in which foster care or homeless runaway youth end up being targeted and recruited into CSAC.
Also, when we think about it too, I mean, we see a lot of, the youth who are out there because they're, like she said, that this isn't the only way for them to age out. When they turn 18, they can also age out. But again, that leaves them back in the situation where they got to get their basic needs met. So they are enticed by somebody who may be buying them something, which, or, telling them everything that they need, providing them, different things like, oh, yeah, you need a little bit of money so that you can get you some food. And then by the time that exchange is done, they're already caught up in it, not realizing that this has just happened. And now they're in debt to a person that they didn't even realize they were in debt to. This is extremely important for us to understand because this is where our agencies all connect with each other. So, for instance, if we have a youth in foster care, and this youth, for instance, we've built trust, we've built security, we've built safety, we've helped with some of the attachment injuries that this youth maybe have been influenced from their phenomenology. We're now able to have this youth tell us their story, and they can trust that we're going to hold their story and be able to provide support as they need that support. So they let us know what's going on, and then we can make a referral, and they let us know, hey, yeah, I'm being trafficked. And so now we can make a referral to eye care or stars to be able to get them that's provided support that they need. However, if maybe they don't tell us those things and we don't find out, maybe they leave, maybe they run away, and now they're back out into the streets again. If they were already part of the situation, then if they're already being trafficked and they end up at formerly known as Storefront, which is now Youth Emergency Shelter, then Renata and her team are able to be able to provide them services. But say, for instance, they ran away and they were not part of being trafficked at that time. Statistically, they have 48 hours after leaving home. One in three are approached to be part of being trafficked. And so this is why it's extremely important that our agencies interconnect. So when they come to the youth emergency shelter, Renata and her team are able to again provide those extensive services for them. Renata, would you mind telling a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. And so a lot of times when youth come into our shelter, they've either been approached or they're involved. But because they have never, these youth really struggle with having experienced safe relationships with adults. They struggle with trusting us, which is super valid. And so what we do is similar to Anthony is we try to create a safe place as much as possible and show them they can trust us. And so many times the youth slowly start to disclose, and my staff are always assessing whether it's within our intake or just daily conversations with them for possible risk factors or disclosures. And when we are able to identify risk factors or the youth discloses to us their involvement, that is when we automatically loop in eye care and stars and refer to them, and help encourage the youth to utilize their specialized services. We always give choice to the youth. So if the youth is not ready to address those things, we might try to help them address them in different ways and with different programs. But that is the main way in which all of us interact, or at times stars and eye care if they have a youth who's involved in CSEC, and therefore is in need of our services because their housing is not stable, or they're running away from home. They reach out to us so that we can help with the housing component. So that is the way in which all of us interact, and intersect.
Another way that we can also be able to interact with each other. So, say for instance, there's a youth who's in a different foster care program. Maybe they're not in ours, right? Maybe they're not in our particular nonprofit. Maybe they're in a different one within the county. And then we get a call from STARS or we get a call from iCare, and they're wanting to be able to have that youth get services from us. Well, we can transition that foster parent over into our agency, and now that youth is under our umbrella. So now they don't have to get services from multiple different areas of San Diego. They're housed under the same agency to be able to get that support that is essential for these youths to be able to transition and for these youths to be able to grow.
Yeah, and we are really good at collaborating with each other. If the youth is involved in Anthony's program with foster care or in STARS or eye care, which are specialized CSEC services, all of the service providers are in collaboration to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the youth and helping them not only survive but also start to thrive and help them learn their independent living skills and get their mental health addressed and any other need they might have. We also just have 18 programs within San Diego Youth Services. So, any kind of gap in their needs or treatment, we are able to refer to other programs within our agency in order to, like Anthony said, keep them under our umbrella so that coordinating services is much easier for our youth.
Hmm. Absolutely. Taking a more proactive instead of a reactive approach. And so we try to do that as best as possible. However, we also understand that there will be some reactive approaches. So we're going to be proactive in trying to provide that support and put that nest of security and safety in that blanket that we can, the best that we can.
Yes, absolutely. And so, why are me and Anthony here and everyone else who works at SDYS? Well, I can't speak for everyone else, but I can speak for myself. And I think part of the reason I'm involved in this work is there's a big joke where mental health providers or social work providers have are trying to fix their own problems, and to a certain extent, that I think there's some truth to that, but in a much more healthy way than at times it's presented. And for me, as someone who had experienced a lot of my own trauma during my teen years, I'm really passionate about helping teens and helping them not repeat the patterns that they've experienced and help them make a change better for their lives and for their future because they have so much potential. And so, one of my favorite quotes is by an Aboriginalist activist um, named Leela Watson. And it says, "If you have come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together." And I think that's exemplified in our culture here at SDYS and how we involve our youth in every aspect of their service. And we even call them service partners because it's not us giving services to them, they're partners in their services. And like I said earlier, they always have choice. Here at the Youth Emergency Shelter, they're involved in our policies and procedures. And so, most recently, we tend to have productivity during school time where the youth has to be doing some sort of case management or classwork or something productive. But in the age of COVID, the youth disagreed with our rules around productivity. And so we had a focus group where we listened to them, and now we're adjusting what productivity time looks like to make sure we are serving the youth in the way that they feel is best for them. How about you, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. To an extent, we're all wounded warriors who are in this field. We want to help because we also didn't get that support, and I'm no different. So for me, it's really growing up where I grew up in LA and the way that we did grow up. We didn't have those supportive services put in place, and we weren't able to take advantage of those supportive services. So now, being able to be a part of the supportive services, I think it's dope. I think it's incredible. I think that I try to, as best I can, encourage those who come into my 360 in a positive way. And it's one of those things that, when I wake up in the morning, it actually rejuvenates me to know, like, I'm going to go to work today and it doesn't feel like work. It feels like this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. And so I love it. And I'm passionate about being out there with these youths, with these teens, letting them know, like, you're not alone and you're not the only one who's been in these spots. If you would allow me to be part of that journey with you, so that you don't have to go through it alone. And so I love being able to do that, and I see that in my team, in the teams that are out here in SDYS. I see that in our service partners, that they do appreciate it, and we learn just as much from them as they learn, hopefully, from us. And I think that also is dope. And so it's one of the reasons why I continue to wake up and come into work every single day.
Yeah. And I think I just want to add, similar to what Anthony said, when a lot of times when I share what I do in the community, people tell me the youth are lucky to have me or that I'm so kind. But at the end of the day, for me, it's really how much I get out of my interactions with the youth, and they enrich my life so much, and they're so inspiring and fun. And I personally get so much out of my interactions with them, and I'm so grateful that I have got to connect with them. And so it's a very two-way path. And again, I see it in my team. My team does whatever it takes to help our youth and be there the way that they need.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, some ways that you can get involved. If you're interested in getting involved with SDYS and being a part of some of the solutions that we have talked about out here, you can actually, for if you want to become a resource parent, you can check us out at sdyouthservices.org. That's the most direct way. Check us out under how to get involved. Otherwise, you can also check us out on Instagram. You can also check us out on Facebook as well. And then, what about you for you, Renata?
Yeah, thank you. Previously, before COVID, we did allow volunteers to come in and serve as like a additional supervision or mentors or just a positive, safe adult they can um, connect with. Because of COVID, we can't really do that anymore, but that doesn't mean there's not a lot of great ways to get involved with us. One way is that we have a monthly calendar of scheduled meals from community members who bring in dinner every single night. And so that's a great way to get involved is just to bring a yummy dinner meal to our youth in shelter. And you can call us at our phone number, which is 619-325-3527, and inquire about how to get involved that way. Another way is donations, whether that is cash and check, gift cards, or other items. We are so grateful for all of it. And if you ever have questions about what items, please give us a call because we are in need of a lot of things. We're lucky that we get a lot of gently used clothing and socks and hygiene items. But I thought I would provide a little bit of information of maybe some other items that we could utilize. So one thing is teens are going to be teens. And so we have an Xbox, we have a Nintendo Switch. And so video games, other consoles, just ways to keep them entertained and engaged, especially right now when we're really encouraging them to stay indoors and not go outside. We have a storefront store where the youth earn storefront dollars. And when they complete case management things like their classwork or any other appointments they might have with mental health or other physical health needs. And so we always need fun things to put in that store. We have a lot of makeup or body sprays, we have a lot of recreational activities, lots of chargers and headphones. Those go off the walls. And so, if you ever, we would love donations based on those things. Also, fun recreational activities that are COVID safe, such as mini golf or anything else you can think of. We really, we would love those. Also, some items for our marginalized youth that a lot of people don't think of, such as hair care items for our Black or youth of color who have textured hair. We get a lot of hair care items that don't address those cultural needs. Or, for instance, also LGBTQ items such as binders and packers and other things to help those youth feel confident in their gender expression. We also need underwear and bras of all sizes, art supplies. There's so many great things that we would love to get donated. So again, if you ever have questions about specifics, because interests, depending on the milieu of youth we have, interests change or needs change. And so always give us a call and we would love to collaborate with you. So those are things that you can help out with storefront. But thank you so much for tuning in with us and hearing us out. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, each and every one of you, especially given the state of the world and things that are going on currently. We really appreciate the fact that you're here and that you're tuning in. And we hope that, if anything, that you spread the message, that you spread the empowerment, that you spread the peace and love.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we couldn't do this without the community. Thank you so much.
That's right.